Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'll just give everyone a sec to come on in and connect up to their audio, and then we're going to get started. All right. Hello, everyone. Chelsea McGill here tonight. And I lost my words for a second there on virtual cooking experience. Just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for coming along and joining us tonight. As I said, my name is Chelsea McGill. For those of you that don't know me, I am a Thermomix consultant and team leader. And tonight I'm going to show you just how incredible our TM7 really is. I'm just going to turn my computer. You can't hear that dinging. So some of you will be here because you've been considering trading up with our amazing trade up offer. Some of you may have never seen a Thermomix before, or you just want to learn a little bit more. And I know we've got some of our amazing owners in the room as well. So big thanks to all of you for coming along. I would love if you could pop in the chat box and just let us know whereabouts you're zooming in from tonight. And if you have a Thermomix, if you don't, what brought you along tonight? So one of the girls will pop a little hello into the chat box for me, and then you can just let us know where you're from and what brought you along tonight. So our aim is to show you just how amazing our new TM7 is and to help you learn some great tips and tricks about it as well. Now, I do ask that we all stay on mute tonight. We're expecting a big number, and when you guys come off mute, it just creates a bit of background noise and makes it hard for everyone to hear. So I just ask if you could please stay on mute, but I would love if you could ask lots of questions and engage with me tonight. I'm going to ask you guys some questions along the way, and please feel free to ask me as many questions as you like, and either I'll answer them or one of the girls will answer them in the chat box for me as well. I can see all those great comments coming in, so thank you so much. Just popping my phone on Do Not Disturb because those notifications are very annoying. And I knew that would happen. Sorry, guys. All right, so a little bit about our TM7. So our TM7 is our latest Thermomix, and it really is the greatest Thermomix yet. As you can see, it is quite different to our previous model Thermomixes. We've gone for a totally new shape and design, which is the first time the design has been changed in quite a long time, which is really exciting. So as you can see, we no longer have those auto locking arms, which means our TM7 is so much easier to clean. One of the biggest things I've noticed as someone who owned a TM31, TM5 and a TM6 is the simplicity of cleaning it. Not having to clean those arms is a game changer. It saves me so much time. You're literally just wiping down the base and away you go. Obviously, our TM7 is black. So Thermomix did quite a lot of market research. 50% of people wanted a black Thermomix, 25% wanted white, and 25% wanted colors. So we have gone with the majority and gone for the sleek, sexy black TM7. Obviously, you can see that beautiful large screen. So we've got a 10-inch display, which is quite a bit larger than the TM6 and substantially larger than the TM5, which is very, very cool, making it so easy to search for recipes, using that guided cooking, walking you through step by step, and being able to find all your modes, recipes, anything that you need. It does have some new cooking modes in it. So we've got our lid off cooking or our open lid cooking, which we're going to see in action tonight, which is very, very cool. When we head on into our modes down here, you can see those different modes that we've got. We can now access our high heat mode or browning mode manually, which I really love. I use high heat a lot, and I love that I can now click into it and no longer have to find a recipe for it. High heat or browning is available in the TM6 through guided cooking and not in the older model Thermomixes. You've got a steaming mode now. So obviously you can steam in all our model Thermomixes, but having a steaming mode just takes the guesswork out of it. So you don't have to put it on Varoma temperature anymore. It knows exactly what temp it needs to be on for perfect steaming. Something I really love is that you can actually select if you're using the Varoma, the simmering basket, or the Varoma with the simmering basket. If you don't know what any of those are, that's fine. We'll talk about them more in a little bit. Then you just set your time and away you go for perfect steaming. Some of the other differences, when we come on down here, we have our chop tool. Now the TM6 does have the chop tool on it. The TM7 chop tool is substantially larger. So your chop tool is your basic best friend. So if you've never owned a Thermomix before, or you've never done a lot of manual cooking, this is where you're going to be coming to. So say you've got some beef that you wanted to mince up, into your chop tool, beef, select minced. How much have we got? Say 350 to 500. Tick that one. It's asking me to take my lid off, opens my scale so I can put my 350 in, and then once it is in there, it is going to bring up the perfect speed and time to mince that 500 grams of beef, which is amazing. I'm not sure what just happened. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. All right, sorry, I'm not sure what happened. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb and my dad was FaceTiming me, so thank you, Shane, for that one. Apologies, I don't know how he got through Do Not Disturb. He must have kept on hitting ring, I would say. It's such a dad thing to do. So there is your perfect minced meat or whatever it is that you need to do in your chop tool there. So chop tool is going to be your best friend when you get your Thermomix. Some of the other modes that we have on our TM7, for those of you that don't currently have a Thermomix, we have our pre-clean, which is our self-clean mode, and one of my absolute favorites. You can see the beautiful illustrations on the TM7 as well. You've got your different modes: quick, universal, dough, browning, fat, and caramel. So yes, your Thermomix does clean itself. We've also got our dough mode, which is our kneading mode, which we're going to see shortly. Steaming, as I mentioned, browning, turbo, which is fast, hard chopping. Your blender to whip up your smoothies, things like that. We've got an egg boiler, which is another favorite in our house. For those of you that have a Thermomix currently, or have a TM6, are you using your egg boiler mode? Our older models don't have the egg boiler mode in it, but here you can see we've got soft, medium soft, medium hard or hard, however you like them. You select it, pop the eggs in, and they will boil away perfectly for you. Boiled eggs were something we never ate in our house because I could never nail it. So I love that one. We've got our open cooking, as I said, a kettle. We've got our warm-up mode, which is a reheat function, sauces, soups, anything with a bit of liquid in it. You've got your rice cooker. You've got your thicken mode for perfect hollandaise sauce, custards, things like that. We've even got an inbuilt slow cooker, so for perfect stews or soups or, pasta sauces that you want to really cook that flavour down in. Fermentation to make perfect yogurt overnight with those beautiful cultures in it, saving you thousands of dollars a year if you have children like me. My Thermomix has been paid for multiple times over in yogurt savings alone. We got our sous vide if you want to get a little bit fancy. And then we have peeling, grating, slicing, and spiralizing, which we can talk more about in a moment as well. A big thank you to anyone who invited some guests along tonight. You will be eligible for one of our host rewards, so please make sure you chat to your consultant. We do have the TM7, TM6 and TM5 cutter and spiralizer available on our host rewards for a limited time only. And of course, our trusty thermoserver, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. So I would love to get to know you guys a little bit better, and I'd love if you could pop into the chat box for me and let me know, when it comes to food and cooking in general, what is most important to you? Is it fast, simple, creative, saving money, healthy? What is it that's most important to you when it comes to food and cooking? Pop in the comments and let us know. I'm just checking out the chat here. All right. So the price of our TM7, for those of you that don't yet have a Thermomix or might be considering our trade-up offer, just give you a little run through of our price. So it is an all-inclusive price. You do get everything that you need to get you going on your Thermomix journey, which of course includes the Varoma, which is our steaming attachment, one of my favorites. We use this one all the time. For those of you with an older model, you might be looking at that thinking that's a lot bigger. It is. Our Varoma is 45% bigger than our TM6 Varoma, which is amazing. So you can actually fit 2 whole chooks in the Varoma now. It's very cool. Get your Varoma, get your simmering basket. So our simmering basket we use a lot in layered cooking. So say you might have water in your bowl, you've got your rice in your simmering basket, your potatoes, something like that. Lid goes on, and then you've got your meat and your veggies in the Varoma, and you are cooking a whole meal in one go, which I love. You get your butterfly whisk, you get your spatula, your lid cap, and you do get a 3-month subscription to Cookie2, our recipe platform, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. Now, the price of the TM7 is $2,649, and it does come with all of those great things that you need, and of course, with your expert consultant to support you along the way as well. Now, we do have lots of different payment options to help you get a Thermomix on your bench. You can come on board and earn yourself a Thermomix, do what we do. We have a whole lot of fun in doing so. You can finance one. We have 24-month interest-free finance through Zip Money and Hum. Now they come down to around $27 a week, $25 to $27 a week for 24 months. And that is a great way to pay it off in installments. With our installment options, we can show you how you can save more than $25 a week off your grocery bill with your new Thermomix, which means your Thermomix would essentially be covered, which is very cool. So that $27 a week comes down to about $3.50 a day, which is less than a cup of takeaway coffee. So tell me, who's buying takeaway coffee at the moment? Pop it in the comments and let us know. I bought a chai the other day, a wet chai with soy milk, and it cost me $7.50, and it was a medium, wasn't even a large. I nearly fell off my chair. So a couple of cups of takeaway coffee each week would cover the cost of your brand new Thermomix. Now, if you do have an older model Thermomix, of course, our trade up is running at the moment. So you can trade in a TM31, a TM5, or a TM6 and save up to $750 off the cost. So you could potentially get a TM7 for just $18.99, which is incredible and going to be less than $20 a week on your interest-free finance. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, please just pop them into the comments. As I said, the girls will answer them, or I will when I get a moment. But we are going to dive on into cooking. So with our TM7, when you're setting your TM7 up, there's 3 different options on your home screen. I have mine set to the weekly planner screen because I am somebody that loves to do my weekly meal plans. So pop in the comments and let me know, are you a meal planner? Are you somebody that likes to do a weekly meal plan, or are you more just wing it, see how you go, that kind of thing? So you might be able to see here that my screen says, enjoy you sexy thing. You can name your TM7 whatever you like. And I thought, why not give myself a bit of a confidence boost every morning when I turn it on? So it does say you sexy thing there. The word before that is enjoy at the moment. That does change all the time as well. It might say good morning, you sexy thing, or something like that, which I love. So on my home screen, you can see we've got our weekly planner, our recipes for today, our weekly planner, our self-clean, manual mode, and tutorials and help. You absolutely can still cook manually in your TM7. So you might notice one of the biggest differences is that there is no longer a dial on the face of the Thermomix. So we just have our beautiful screen, and all we need to do is tap, and you can scroll just like you would on your iPhone, or you've got some presets here. Set your temperature again, you've got 100 degrees there, or scroll on through until you get what you need. And the same thing with your speed there. So you can absolutely still set time, temperature, speed, and cook your manual recipes. Or you can head on into your weekly planner and get into our brilliant guided cooking. So for those of you that do currently have a Thermomix, are you using the meal plan function? Are you using Cookie Do? Are you using the guided cooking? Pop it in the chat and let us know. So today we're going to start off by making some dough. We make a lot of dough in our house. We made a cheeseburger focaccia for dinner tonight, which was beautiful. The focaccia was to die for. And I know that a lot of Thermomix owners do love making bread. Some haven't tried it yet. So this is always a great recipe to share some hints and tips with you. This is our basic bread roll. So our cookie dough recipe, it's got 4.4 stars, 15 minutes prep time, total time 45, and it makes 16 portions. When you scroll down, you can see here that you can change the serving size. So we can go 8, 16, or 24 for this one. So if you are a small household, you might like to halve that down to 8, or if you're a large household, you might like to double it up to 24. You've got your ingredients here. So you can get everything prepped and ready to go. Then you've got all your steps, and then you've got tips. Something that I'm loving with the TM7 is that you can add notes to your recipes. So I make a lot of changes to my recipes. I love Cookie Dough. It is my best friend, but I'm a bit of a fussy eater and I know exactly what I like and what I don't like. So I'm always making changes. So you might think, oh, I found this dough a little bit sticky or maybe a little bit dry, for example, or you might want to add, garlic and cheese and turn it into a garlic bread. You can pop your notes here. And then when you come into the recipe, it will let you know that you've got notes here and you can read your notes before you get started, which is awesome. So we're going to hit our start cooking button. And, excuse me, I talk so much, I get a bit thirsty. So the first thing this recipe wants us to do is add in some wheat grains. So it wants 100 grams of wheat grains. Now, I don't know about you, but the average person probably doesn't have wheat grains in their house. So what we're going to do is we're just going to skip past wheat grains and we're just going to leave that one out. And then what we're going to do is a little bit later, we're going to add some more flour to compensate for the no wheat grains. Now, it is guided cooking. It's not set in stone. It is not going to beep at us because we've skipped something. But my top tip is that we need to remember that we need to add some more flour. So what it wants us to do here is add 100 grams of wheat grains into our bowl. And then it wants us to mill them down for 1 minute on speed 9. And what that is going to do is that's going to create a flour. So we're going to make a wholemeal flour from scratch from our wheat grains, which is very, very cool. For those of you that currently have a Thermomix, are you using your mill function for anything at the moment? Pop in the chat and let us know. For those of you that don't have a Thermomix, is there anything that you've milled at home before? Milling might not be something that you've done without a Thermomix, but you never know. Maybe using a mortar and pestle to really grind it down. But then it just wants us to set to side, continue with the recipe and add that one back in a little bit. So we're going to go in with 300 grams of water. So we've got our scales here, which we're going to watch as we count up to 300. Now our TM7, when you get it spot on or close enough, it will mark it off for you. It will make a cute little ding sound and it will automatically tear your scales ready to go for your next ingredient, which I love. And we're going to go in with 2 teaspoons of yeast. So I'm just using our dried yeast. Top tip, this one does need to be stored in the fridge. I did not know that for quite a long time and could never work out why my dough never rose properly. So this yeast does need to live in the fridge. If you're not keeping it in the fridge, throw it out, buy a new one, pop it into the fridge. So we've got our yeast and water in the bowl. We've got 2 minutes on 37 degrees speed 1 for our guided cooking. And all we need to do is press play. So we don't have that tactical dial anymore. All we are doing is pressing play. We're using Cookie Do for our guided cooking. So our time and our temperature and our speed are all preset for us. So we don't need to do anything there. All we need to do is pop our ingredients in and press that play button. Now, you can scroll your finger down the screen and see what's next. If you're anything like me, I'm a really busy person. I'm always short on time, trying to do things the quickest way possible. So instead of prepping my ingredients before I start a recipe, I'll start. And then when I get to a point like this that has a couple of minutes, I'll go to my next step and I'll check out what I need to get. And then I'll spend that 2 minutes kind of grabbing my bits and pieces. I find that saves me quite a lot of time in the kitchen. 2 minutes is quite a long time, especially if you are a busy person. And it's amazing what you can get done in 2 minutes while your Thermomix is doing the hard work for you. So for those of us that do have a Thermomix, I'd love if you could pop in the chat and let me know, are you making bread? Is this something that you have made before? I am just reading the comments and Alana said that's so weird because you buy it off the shelf. Haha, mine's in the cupboard. Whoops. So when you buy it, it is like sealed. So it's got one of those airtight seals, so it doesn't need to be in the fridge, kind of like tuna and that stuff. But once you've opened it, pop the seal, you've got the air in it, it needs to go into the fridge. Lani's making cheese and bacon rolls on the daily. Netta's making bread daily. Netta, are you just making like a white loaf or rolls or what else have we got? Oh, Cheryl made some fresh mingle seasonings today. Delicious. Elise is milling spices. Love it. Milling spices gives so much flavor into your meal. Sherry loves how you can meal plan and transfer the grocery list into the Woolies app for quick ordering. Amazing. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit as well. One of my favorite functions. So something else that I love about the TM7, so you see this little guy here, this is called our digital twin. So our digital twin is letting us know what it wants us to do at any time. So it wants 20 grams of olive oil. When you're using a TM5 or a TM6, when you hit next on your guided cooking, it will automatically open up the scales, which means you then take the lid off and it minuses the 300 and something grams for the lid, and you've got to remember to tear your scales. We've all made the mistake of not tearing our scales, start pouring something in and then unsure how much you've put in. So our TM7 is smart enough to know that the lid is still on, so it hasn't activated the scales yet. So once I take the lid off, it brings up the scales and has them set on 0, or in my case, 1 or 2, because I hit my cord. And it just makes life much simpler. So we're going to go in with 20 grams of olive oil, using those scales again. Now, our TM7 scales are 1 gram scales. If you use a TM5, you would find that they are 5 grams. If you use a TM31, they are 10 grams. So our TM7 is much more precise. Now, we're up to our baker's flour, and it does want 400 to 420 grams of baker's flour. Now, we didn't do the wheat grain, so we are going in with 5 to 520 because we need that extra 100 grams that we don't have of the wheat. So it's not going to automatically tick this off for us because we have gone substantially over. So we're just going to manually tick that one off. If you don't love that tick off feature, you can turn it off as well. Then we're going to go in with a teaspoon of sea salt. If you've ever seen me cook before, you'd know that I'm a guesstimate that's good enough. That'll do kind of cook. And then it wants that whole reserved wheat flour that you may have made. If not, we're just going to skip it. And Digital Twin's asking us to put our lid on, which we've done. And we've got 6 seconds on speed 6. Turned my main light off because it was too glary. And I was trying to work out why it was so dark in here. The rest of my lights were off. I've just turned them back on. All right, so 6 seconds, speed 6. We have just combined our dough roughly. Now we're going to move on into our kneading. So we've got 2 minutes on our wheat picture there, which is our dough mode, and we're just going to hit play. So 2 minutes of kneading in your Thermomix is the equivalent of 20 minutes of kneading by hand. So I personally would not spend 20 minutes kneading dough, but I love that I can do it in just 2 minutes in my Thermomix. For those of you that have an older model Thermomix, you might notice that the TM7 is substantially quieter. So it does have this great insulated casing around the bowl, which is going to do a couple of things for us. The first one is it's going to reduce the sound. So it's muffling down our sound, which is brilliant. But the TM7 does also have a virtually silent motor. So up until speed 2, you will not hear the motor running at all, which is wild. I find myself standing there like, is it on? Is it on? Did I turn it on? I just can't wrap my head around it even after all these months of having one now. For those of you that have a TM7, have you noticed how much quieter it is? Pop in the chat and let us know. The other thing the insulated bowl does, it means that it's no longer hot. So when we're dealing with the older model Thermomixes, the stainless steel bowl is the outer, and they do get very hot when they've been cooking for a substantial amount of time. So I know I have children, and they're a little bit older now, but when they were small, they've always loved to cook with our Thermomix, and I was always worried about them burning themselves. Just having to be really careful around grabbing the handle, not the bowl. So the great thing about the insulated casing means we don't have to worry about that anymore. You can grab it with 2 hands. You can't burn yourself, which is great. It also means that you don't have to just carry it by the handle. So if you have weak wrists or something like that, you might find it easier to just pop 2 hands on the bowl and lift it up rather than just having to use that handle. So just another perk there that I really enjoy. What else we got? Some more bread makers. Lani wants to be a good sourdough mum, but we'll forget to feed it. I do make sourdough and I do love it. Do make it in my Thermomix. Emily's making bread daily, pizza bases weekly for Karshes. JD's making white and fruit bread. Amazing. White multigrain and bacon cheese rolls. Coffee scrolls, $5 each at Baker's Delight. Isn't that crazy? Just wild. So in just 2 minutes, we have made that beautiful dough. So the first 2 minutes of our Thermomix warmed our yeast. So we were having that conversation about our yeast before. It gets your water and your yeast to 37 degrees, which is your optimal temperature for yeast to rise. So getting it to its optimal temperature means that you're going to get the best rise in the shortest amount of time. You can feel that the dough is really nice and warm because it warmed that water up as well. And then it does that 2 minutes of kneading, giving us absolutely beautiful dough, no effort at all. So over here, I have my Thermomix mat. Does anyone have a Thermomix mat? This is probably my most used accessory. I get asked all the time what I use. I don't use a whole lot of accessories because you do get everything you need with your Thermomix, but my Thermomix mat is my most used for sure. Now, when we're making dough, our TM7 spatula does have a little hole there. Pop it over your blades, twist back and forward. If you don't have the TM7, just do it with your hand and you'll feel it get really loose and release. And that's helping your dough to come out. So you can see we've got a little bit of dough stuck there on the blades. Now I could grab that off, but I want to show you guys one of my favorite tricks. Pop this to the side for a sec. Now TM7 back over. Now, when you've got something stuck on your blades, whether it's dough, it might be a sauce or a soup or a cake mix or something, we obviously don't want to waste any of that. So head back out of your recipe and into your modes. And then we go to our turbo mode. Now, all our models have a turbo mode. We've got 1 second times 1. Now, turbo is our 0 to 10 fast hard chopping. Exit out of our turbo. Swipe down from the top of your screen to get back into your recipe. And that has flicked all that dough off those blades, so we're not wasting any. As I said, you can do that with dough, sauces, cake mixes, anything else. Now grab a little bit of your dough, just run it around like so, collecting what's in there. So nothing goes to waste. It also means it's going to be easier for you to clean. And then we're just going to pop it into a ball. Our recipe says transfer onto a silicone bread mat or a floured work surface and shape into a ball. Now, if you're working with a Thermomix mat, we're going to wrap it. Now, your Thermomix mat is going to help to keep the warmth in there, which means that's going to prove even quicker again. I like to wrap it nice and tight. You will find that the side will eventually pop open, and that's letting you know your dough is ready. But we are using guided cooking, so it is going to walk us through the rest of the recipe. So wrap silicone bread mat or place into a bowl and cover with plastic wrap or a kitchen towel. Now we can set ourselves a 30-minute timer. Now I find that we won't need 30 minutes for this bread to rise in the Thermomix mat, but you can hit play on your timer and that's just going to tick away in the background and ding at you in 30 minutes when your dough is ready. Line a baking tray with baking paper. And then we've got a video. So our TM7 does play instructional videos for us. Our big screen makes it really easy to see. And this is going to teach us how we're going to cut down our dough. While you watch that, I'm going to give my bowl a quick wash. I love that we've got some instructional videos in there. If you've never made bread before, it can feel a little bit daunting. So it just gives you that great little insight into how to cut down and shape those rolls perfectly. And it's very easy to clean the bowl. When we've done something like a bread dough, you don't need to take the bowl apart. You can just pop a little bit of water in there, give it a swirl around, and away you go. Or if you've got your self-clean mode that you could use as well. But for our older model Thermomix owners, something that you may love with our TM7 is our blade release. So with the older models, you've got to crack the bottom of the bowl, pull it off and get your blades out. With this one, we just flick our lever, blades come out, bowl and outer casing. Your outer casing doesn't tend to get too dirty. I just give it a rinse and the rest I pop through the dishwasher. So your Thermomix is totally dishwasher safe. You're not afraid to put it in the dishwasher. Ours goes through multiple times a week. Bowl back in, blades back in, and just flick your lever back across and you are done. So easy. All right, so knock down, divide into 16 or equal portions, approximately 50 grams. If you are someone that likes things to be perfect, you can weigh them as you're going. If you're like me, you'll end up with bread all different sizes, but that's okay. Brush with a little water and sprinkle with mixed seeds, optional. Place into a cold oven, set temperature to 200 degrees. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown or sounding hollow when tapped on the bottom. Allow to cool for 5 minutes and then serve while warm. Now, my trick with this recipe is I've made these hundreds of times. And I like to put them into a hot oven and bake them for just 12 minutes. I find if you make them nice and small, like golf balls, they cook perfectly that way. If you're making them larger, you might want to do the cold oven for the extra proving time. But if you make them nice and small, you can do the 12 minutes, 200 degrees, no worries. Now, our TM7 also has a built-in glider foot, which means you can slide it around the bench like this. You don't need to have a glider board with it, and you don't need to worry about damaging the scales. Lift it up, and away you go, which is awesome. So we're going to head back on into our week, and then we're going to start with our Marry Me chicken pasta. So has anyone made Marry Me chicken pasta before? In a Thermomix, not in a Thermomix? Pop in the chat and let us know. All right. So again, guided cooking takes us through step by step. Prep 10 minutes, total times 35 and 4 portions. And Marry Me has 4.6 stars out of 292 ratings, so you know it's going to be a good one. Cat's just having a moment. Right, at the door. So again, drag your finger down the screen, your ingredients, everything that you need, hints, tips, tricks, and away we go. Arnie likes it with extra parmesan. Ross has made this one before. JD's kids love Marry Me chicken. Awesome. Oh, Kate made it tonight. Absolute favorite. Awesome. So we're going to start off by grating some Parmesan cheese. So we've got 30 grams of Parmesan. So we're just going in with some cubes of Parmesan, about yay big. I got 45 grams. This one is just going on the top. So you're welcome to do more if you're a Parmesan loving household like we are. Feel free to add extra. So we've got 5 seconds on speed 8 and we're just going to hit play. Now, when we are grating Parmesan, it can be a little bit loud. We're using that full power of our TM7 motor. Even with the insulated bowl, it is still going to be a little bit loud. But that's what happens when we make magic like this in just 5 seconds. So that is our Parmesan grated. We are going to put that one into our bowl. We can come back to that. Now, our TM7 spatula has been redesigned. It is twice the size of our old spatula. It's beautiful and flexible, perfect for scraping the sides. It covers the whole width of the bowl now, which I absolutely love. It still has our handle, so you can grab your simmering basket safely. When you've got hot water in there, you can create a handle. You're going to be able to do it. I'm at a weird angle. Make a liar out of me. Oh my goodness. There we go. Like so, creates a handle so you can get that simmering basket in and out safely. And it has this little bump on it so you can pop it down and it's not going to dirty your table as well. So we have grated down our Parmesan. It does just want us to rinse and dry our bowl, which I am going to do, just because we're moving into high heat mode. Now, a lot of the time I would skip this step, but as we are using the high heat mode, we're going to go into the browning. So we're going to go really hot. If we've got Parmesan at the bottom of our bowl, we're going to get quite a bit of blackening. Now, that's not an issue. Your TM6, your TM7 is stainless steel. It's not Teflon. So you are going to see blackening on the bottom of the bowl when you get to those high temperatures of 160 degrees, which is really, really normal and nothing to worry about. That blackening is going to give you extra flavour in your meal. It will come off using the browning self-clean, a little bit of bicarb and vinegar. The self-clean will get rid of most of it. Otherwise, just a really gentle scourer will remove any leftovers. So we are going to go with 2 garlic cloves. And you know what? I forgot to get garlic cloves out. Sorry, guys. I prepped everything and I always forget something, guaranteed. So a couple of garlic cloves. Smallest garlic cloves from Woolies this week. You need about 8 to make up 1 garlic clove. But luckily, IGA had some bigger ones. There's time for that. We're going to go in with 2 garlic cloves, 3, 4, 5 garlic cloves, however many you like. Remember, it's guided cooking. It's not set in stone. So we've got our garlic cloves. I'm going to go with 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. Now, you want to be using your sun-dried tomatoes in oil because there's no oil in this recipe. If you're using the sun-dried tomatoes in like the vacuum seal pack that doesn't have any oil, just add a little bit of olive oil to it. But we want to strain out some of the oil, but you do want a little bit in there as well. So 100 grams of our sun-dried tomatoes. Thermomix owners, is there anything more satisfying than when you get it spot on? Oh, I was on 100. It jumped to 101. It always feels good. I've got 180 grams of capsicum cut into pieces. So I've just very roughly cut it into kind of slices, like so. Oh, got 175. A little bit less, but again, that's okay. Half a teaspoon of salt. And then some ground black pepper. All right, so we're going to move on into our high heat mode here, or our browning mode. So we've got 4 minutes, 160 degrees and gentle, and you can see those little heat waves which are letting us know where is our high heat mode. So our TM6 and TM7 have our high heat mode. Our TM7 has it accessible through cookie dough recipes or through manual cooking. Our TM6 has it accessible through guided cooking only. So if you are using a TM6, you can search for high heat and it will bring up some high heat basics that you can access if you need them. But the TM7 does have it manually. I've been loving being able to access it manually because if I'm cooking a recipe that's made for, say, the TM5 that came out when the TM5 was around, it doesn't use the browning mode. And I think that it would taste better with the browning. I will flick on out into my manual browning mode to do my onions or my meat, whatever it is, and then back into my recipe and continue on, which is very cool. For those of you that don't know anything about our browning mode or our high heat mode, the high heat mode came out with the TM6 and it goes 40 degrees hotter than the TM31 or the TM5. So you may have met people in the past that had said, you know, that their food might be a little bit bland in a Thermomix, or that they didn't like the way their onions were cooked. Because the blades of the TM31 and TM5 did continuously spin, it meant that you weren't getting any heat transfer into your food or any kind of browning, caramelization, that kind of thing. So incoming our high heat mode or our browning mode, going that 40 degrees hotter, getting all the way up to 160 degrees, which is going to mimic your fry pan, and your blades are actually going to stop spinning. Now, it's hard to demonstrate this on the TM7 because it is so quiet. You actually can't hear the blades spinning. In the TM6, you will hear the blades spin and then stop, spin and then stop, which is exactly what's happening in our TM7. So the blades spin to rotate it all, stir it around, coat in that oil, and then they stop and they give it a chance to really get that browning and caramelization onto our food. And then it will start to spin again to stop it from burning. You can see we've got this beautiful, like almost like a smoke coming out of the top of the TM7. You can see that there. And the smell that comes out of our high heat mode is just incredible. You do this a lot with onions, garlic, ginger, and the smell that comes out of it is just amazing. So our high heat mode is there to add extra flavor to your food. Giving you that browning is going to taste better, but it also means that you can do a lot more things. So with the high heat mode, we can do things like fajitas. You can do the beef strips and the veggies, caramelized onions, caramelized capsicums for your pizzas, things like that. You can do stir fries, veggies and meat. What kind of things are you using high heat for at the moment? For those of you that have a TM6 or a TM7, pop in the comments and let us know. And for those of you that don't have a TM6 or a TM7, pop in the comments and let us know what kind of things are you making on your stove at the moment. So thinking about those things that you're making on your stove at the moment that we could flip to making in our Thermomix. Now, 4.5 minutes is quite a long time. We all know when we're standing at our fry pan, we've got to continue stirring to stop it from burning. You don't have to with Thermomix. Taco mince is a big one. Throw your taco mince in, walk away, come back 10 minutes later, and you've got perfectly browned mince without having to stand there and stir. Also, no fat splattering all over your kitchen, which is amazing too. Got JD says measure garlic with your heart. I couldn't agree more. Elise does minced nachos in her TM7, beautiful in the browning mode. And Debbie said, how do you know when to leave the stopper off the top? So the TM7 is designed quite differently to the TM6 or 5 or 31. We're used to having the hole in the mixing bowl lid and having that measuring cup which plugs it. Our TM7 has been designed totally differently. So it actually has a protective cover underneath the hole in the mixing bowl lid, which means that you don't actually have to put your lid cap on. It is there to use, absolutely, and I do use it, but it isn't a be-all and end-all. Nothing is going to splash out and get you. Oops, I just hit play again instead of next. Nothing is going to splash out and get you. So it is there, but you don't need to use it. I do always use it when I'm doing the self-clean mode because water does come flying out. If you're blending things like that, you do want to have it on. But as I said, designed a little bit differently. So we've just done 4.5 minutes there, which means we're not getting too much browning happening. We're just starting to build that flavour of sauteing those veggies, sun-dried tomatoes, scrape down sides, and then we're going to go in with 500 grams of chicken thigh. So I've just cut my chicken into kind of pieces. It says 2 to 3 centimetre pieces. It does ask for chicken thigh. I know some people don't love chicken thigh. Chicken thigh actually is higher in iron, so it is a little bit better for you. It is more tastier and it holds its shape together a little bit better than what chicken breast does. Chicken breast can shred quite easily. Chicken breast can also become quite dry, so chicken thigh is a great option. If you want to switch to breast, you can. It just may not be quite as good. 250 grams of whipping cream, and I'm using lactose-free. You can also switch to coconut cream. Use the light option so the flavour is not too strong. You can use a dairy-free cream if you need. Lots of great options for you there. And that's going to ding that off. And we're going to go 400 grams of water. I might just need a smidge more. So this one is a 1-pot pasta, which I love. I'm a really messy cook, so this is definitely helping me to be less messy by just being able to pop it all in at the one pot. 400 grams of water. And I'm just going to start my oven while we're there. We just put in a new kitchen, which I love. And I love my new ovens, but you just have to push so many buttons to get it started. 3/4 of a teaspoon of paprika. My family packed up after dinner and they've taken half of the ingredients with them. That's okay. 3/4 of a teaspoon of paprika, or if you're like me, about yay. Some dried Italian herbs, a teaspoon. So I'm just going to use some oregano and some basil. You can use fresh if you've got, that's totally fine, whatever works. And then a tablespoon of veggie stock. So for those of you that don't have a Thermomix, you may not know about the gold, the liquid gold that is our vegetable stock paste. For those of you with a Thermomix, I'm sure you're very accustomed to the beauty that is veggie stock. So this will be the first thing you make when you get your Thermomix. It looks a little bit like that, and it is vegetables, herbs, oil, and some salt cooked down and blended into a paste. It lives in your fridge for up to 6 months, and it goes in everything. Hit that next button, and then we've got 12 minutes on 100 degrees. We're going on reverse and speed slow. So your veggie stock paste is liquid gold. It will replace all stocks in your kitchen, stock paste, stock cubes, liquid stock. So you mix it with water to make your liquid stock. You can pop it in food to add extra flavour and replacing salt in your meals. It's absolutely beautiful and so versatile. You can make chicken and beef stocks. I personally love the veggie so much I don't bother with the meat stocks. I feel like this ticks all the boxes, but that's my personal preference. Jess, the first thing I made on Friday when it arrived, love it. I boiled eggs. Deb, love it. Deb boiled eggs first thing in her Thermomix. Awesome. So we're using our reverse mode. So the back of our Thermomix blades are blunt and they are for stirring. The front are sharp and they are for all of our chopping. So our guided cooking will set your reverse mode for you. When you are in manual mode, you can turn your reverse on, but guided cooking will turn it on for you whenever you need. So that just means it's stirring with our blunt blade, which is going to ensure our food stays nice and intact. So while that one is cooking, my dough looks awesome. So I can see that that has doubled in size. So when you're making bread, it's really important to go off the timing going off site, not necessarily the timing. So I've met a lot of people that always say to me, oh, I struggle to make bread. And I always have this conversation with them and find that a lot of people are going off the timing. So for example, there's still 11 minutes left on our 30-minute timer, but I can see that this has doubled in size and I'm really happy with the way that it looks. So there's no point me waiting another 10 minutes. I do have my heater on, which is just there though. So this area in my kitchen is quite warm. Earlier tonight, I wanted to prove my dough. He told me it needed to prove for an hour. So what I did was I poured some boiling water into my thermoserver, which is our insulated bowl that will keep your food at the temperature it goes in at for up to 2 hours. We'll talk more about that soon. Added some boiling water for a couple of minutes, poured it out, and then I put my dough in my Thermomix mat in here, popped the lid on, and it proved in about 25 minutes instead of an hour. So great little trick if you've got a really cold house and you need a little bit of extra warmth. So always by sight. You might find that your dough says 30 minutes, but it needs an hour, which is absolutely fine and really normal. If it is cold, if you live in Melbourne like we do, and you're in these weird 12-degree days, if you've got a cold house, you may need extra proving time, which is totally fine. So always by sight, not by time. Set the timer for what it says, but then check it and see if it needs longer. Because the last thing you want is underproofed bread, because it's not going to be beautiful and fluffy. So you can see that dough has risen really nicely. It's got that lovely shape. Got those little air bubbles in it, and it looks really good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do what you guys saw happen in our video. So we're going to shape our dough. So we are making 16 basic bread rolls. When you're using a Thermomix mat, it's really important not to use a knife because it is silicone and it does have fibers inside. And if you put a hole in it, it does need to go in the bin. So your spatula is your perfect cutting tool. So we're going to cut our bread dough in half. For my OCD, I apologize in advance. My rolls are never the same size. I'm going to go in half again, and half again. And that's going to give us our 16 rolls. So half, half and half, half and half. And then same thing with my other half. I'm saying half a lot. So for those of you that are making bread at home, do you have any bread tips that you can share in the chat box for us below? Or for those of you that have never made bread, is that something that you would like to make? If you did have a Thermomix on your bench, could you see yourself making bread? If yes, pop it in the comments and let me know what kind of bread you'd like to make. So I've got my 16 rolls, all different shapes and sizes, but I think we're going for rustic homemade, right? Doesn't need to be perfect. So we're going to grab one of our rolls. We're going to give it a light push down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this corner to the middle and we're going to rotate. Corner to middle, rotate, corner to middle, rotate. What we're doing here is creating an air pocket. A little light roll and we're done. That creates an air pocket inside our bread, which means our bread is going to rise really nicely, light and fluffy. Now, if we overwork dough, it will become quite dense and heavy, which is not what anybody wants. No one wants dense, heavy bread. So it's really important to not overhandle your dough. Less is more. Create your air pocket, just a very light little roll around. And away you go. Narelle just said mine will be much better now that I know about the yeast. There's always a few people in the room when we have that conversation. And as I said, I was one of them. Tambria would like to make sourdough. Yes. If you don't, you can follow me at Mixing It Real on Instagram and Facebook. And I do have a little sourdough series showing how to make sourdough in your Thermomix, so you can play along. Making a sourdough starter is quite easy, a little bit time consuming. You've got to be patient, not time consuming. You need to be patient. But once you've made your starter, making sourdough is best. I fed my starters this morning, but I haven't had a chance to make any today. So I'll feed them again in the morning and make a loaf tomorrow for the week. Such a huge money saver. Sourdough is so expensive. $15 a loaf for a proper loaf. You can make it for literally $2 in your Thermomix, which is wild. What else have we got? JD loves the rose gold tins. Yeah, awesome. Rose gold tins from the mix shop are brilliant for making your loaves in. Top tips for proving Melbourne: warm up the oven or the varoma on ferment. Yes. You just got to be careful with the oven. You got to remember that your dough's in there when you preheat. I know that happens to lots of people. But great tips. Thank you, JD. I'd love to make sourdough. I do make pizza dough, but sourdough is a lot of kneading, so the thermal would make it much easier, that's for sure. And Lana's just said that Portuguese bread is amazing. Portuguese bread on cookie dough is a little bit like a cheap sourdough. It's kind of like sourdough without a starter. It's a really beautiful bread and a really good intro into sourdough if you've never done it before. So here we have our bread rolls. Now you want to put them close-ish together, so they're kind of touching once they start to cook. Again, I apologise to the OCD people out there. There we have our basic bread rolls. We might chuck a couple of seeds on them. I'm just going to splash a little bit of water on them. You can do that with a pastry brush if you've got one, or just your hand over at the tap. And then sprinkle with some sesame or poppy seeds. Or, you know, whatever you've got. We were talking about those mingle seasonings, but the bagel seasoning on cookie dough is delicious. Whatever works. And then we're going to go straight into the oven, 12 minutes. Set timer for 12 minutes. Now, I could set the timer on my TM7, but I just asked Siri to do it out of habit. All right. And we have 3 minutes left on that stage, and then we're going to add in our pasta. So while we are doing that, I would love if you have any questions about anything at all to please pop them in the chat so we can answer them for you. But I'm going to take you on a little tour of cookie dough because it is one of my favourite things. So I know I asked earlier, but pop in the chat and let us know, are you using cookie dough? And if you are, do you love it? So cookie dough is our recipe platform. Let me share my screen with you. All right, cookie dough is our recipe platform that has over 100,000 recipes from all around the world. That is going to give you years of endless inspiration. So cookie dough works on the screen of your TM7 as you've seen. I'll just let you have a little look as well. When we go into our search, I'm screen sharing, so you're not going to be able to see that. I'll show you afterwards. You can search on the screen of your TM7, clear, easy, amazing. Or you can open up the app on your phone, or you can use the web browser as well. Yes, you can make fried rice in the TM7. Rhiannon finds herself scrolling cookie dough recipes like it's social media. I get lots of people say that to me, which I absolutely love. Don't waste your time scrolling social media when you could scroll cookie dough instead. So when you open up your cookie dough, you log in on your phone, your TM7 and your computer. You can have as many people using your app as you like, and everyone can get in around the meal planning and the shopping lists as well. So here is our home screen. It's kind of suggesting things that it thinks you may like. Cookie dough does get smarter the more that you use it, just like your Netflix does, and it will suggest things that it thinks you're going to like based off what you've made before. So you can have a little bit of a browse through here. We've got trending now. So these are the things that have been made over the weekend. Blueberry and lemon curd muffins, they look incredible. Handpicked for you. So these are things that it thinks I might like based off what I've made before. Then we've got some low fat living, low sugar savvy. Should I be offended? My cookie dough thinks I need low fat and low sugar, but that's okay. And then when we click up into our menu, we can explore. So this is going to take us into our search. So we can explore popular categories like starters, mains, snacks, drinks, etc. Or scroll down and these bits will always be changing for you. And then there's some suggestions here like bread, burgers, dinner in 30 minutes, and then our latest collections as well. So latest collections, cookie dough is always being updated. To give you a little bit of an idea, I've been a consultant for 6.5 years now. And when I started 6.5 years ago, we had 42,000 recipes. We now have about 110,000. So we have gone substantially larger in 6 years. So it will always continue to grow. So I would love if you could pop in the chat and let me know, what is your favorite thing to eat? It could be something that you buy, takeaway at a restaurant, something that you make. What is your favorite food? Pop in the chat and let me know. Butter chicken and roti are our first two suggestions coming through. So I'm just going to pop curry in here. So let's say you're feeling like something a little bit curry, Indian style, Asian, something like that. Just going to stop my screen share for a sec, just so we can finish this step. You're all going to want to see this. So I just realized that somehow I've missed a step where we chopped up the capsicums. As I open it and see my large pieces of capsicum there, I'm not sure how you miss a step in guided cooking, but this is what happens when you talk as much as I do. So that's okay. Just means I've got some chunky capsicum. Seriously, I worry myself sometimes. So we will deal with that afterwards, but right now we are going to hit next, and we've got 300 grams of pasta going in. So this one does want a fusilli. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Apologies to the Italians in the room, but you can use your penne, anything like that is going to work. 300 grams. 300 grams there, and it's ticking that one off for us. And hit that next. It wants us to give it a good stir. And then we are going to hit that next button and we're going to enter into that lid off cooking. So it does say to set the time according to the packet. So all pastas need different cook times. So this one has a cook time of, there's so many different languages on here. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed trying to find how long it cooks for. 11 minutos. I did not find English, but I'm assuming it's the same in all countries. So we're going to go 11 minutes on our timer. So we're just going to click on our minutes, 10, and then scroll down to 11, 100 degrees, and our lid off cooking. So that one is going to start. So in a moment, that will start bubbling away. And if you've used a Thermomix before, you're going to be pretty amazed at the lid off cooking. As someone who's owned a Thermomix for about 13 years now, this still blows my mind. Every time I use it, I just stand there staring at it, thinking, how is it working without a lid? So to give you a little bit of info on the lid off cooking, the blades do not spin. So when the lid is off, the blades are not moving. So it is no different to using a saucepan on your stove. There's no blades, so there's no chance of anything flicking up or little hands getting in there or anything like that. The blades are not moving, which means we are just gently simmering away. Now, this you can see. Ignore my big bit of capsicum, but you can see that we're getting some simmering there. Those bubbles are happening. And the smell is absolutely beautiful. When I first got my TM7, I did not think I would ever use lid off cooking. I was like, I just can't think what I would want lid off cooking for. But I actually find myself using it quite often. I use it for my poached eggs most mornings. Lid off cooking, pop some water up to the blades, crack your 2 or 4 poached eggs in, and they are perfect in just 3 minutes. I am using it a lot for things like pastas and that because the blades aren't moving. You're getting that perfect cook. So I actually use it a lot more than I thought I would, and I actually really love it. So pop in the chat and let us know, are you using your lid off cooking for our TM7 owners, or can you imagine something that you would like to make in the lid off cooking mode if you did have a TM7 on your bench? All right. We'll jump back to our screen sharing. Okay, so when I search for curry, it is going to bring up lots of different options. We have 640 different curries available to us on Cookie depending what you are feeling like. Now, you can start off with your basics by making your paste, so your tandoori paste, your massaman, all that kind of stuff. Your garam masala powders, tikka paste, tandoori paste, all of that is on here. And then you can move on into making your beautiful curries. So we've got creamy chicken curry and rice, Sri Lankan red beef curry, tikka masala, tandoori chicken, fish curries. You'll have butter chickens. So many great options here for you. So for our Indian lovers, you have endless options here. Creamy coconut chicken curry is one of our favorites. Tikka masala is also as well. So let's add this one in. So I'm going to add this into my weekly planner. So say we're going to have this on Monday. Now, somebody said roti, but I'm going to search for naan because naan goes perfectly with curry, and your Thermomix makes the best naan you will ever eat and a huge money saver. You'll pay about $5 or $6 for a piece of naan in an Indian restaurant, and you can make a whole batch for the same cost. So we've got lots of different naans on here when we have a little browse through. They all look so beautiful. But this one here is my favorite, garlic and coriander naan. So you can head on in, you can change your portion size. I have to make a half portion when we make this because we eat them all. There's 4 of us in our house and we will devour them. We fight over the last naan. But we can add this one into our weekly planner as well. Now I saw somebody say souvlaki or gyros in the chat, their favorite food. So when we put in souvlaki, this souvlaki lamb bowl is beautiful. I've lost my chat there. So here we go. We've got some quick gyros with tzatziki or chicken with tzatziki. And again, we can add this one into our weekly planner. You might like to make your own flatbreads or wraps as well, which is absolutely beautiful. Coriander. Oh, I didn't ask the question. Coriander, delete that one with coriander. So I don't eat coriander, but I make the garlic and coriander naan and I just skip the coriander because garlic naan is absolutely beautiful. So pop in the chat and let us know, do you love coriander or do you hate it? Because I always find it such a funny conversation. People get very invested in coriander or not coriander. Coriander is definitely a weed. Stir fry was another option. And what about your dessert? Someone give me your favorite dessert. When I pop stir fry in, we've got stir fry beef bowl, stir fry veggies, Asian stir fry with noodles, mushroom stir fry, Korean beef bulgogi. I never know how to say that one, but it's absolutely beautiful. Stir fry with rice, prawn stir fry, steak stir fry, anything that you like, you'll find there. So let's add our beef stir fry to our week. And did we get a favorite dessert? Sticky date. All right, sticky date. If you buy a Thermomix and only make sticky date in it for the rest of your life, you've made a good choice. No judgment. You will not regret it. Your Thermomix makes the best sticky date you will ever eat, hands down. It is absolute heaven. My top tip is this one here. Make this sticky date and make it in muffin tins. It is much quicker. It only takes about 15 minutes to cook, and the portions are just better. You've got gluten-free sticky dates, little sticky dates puddings with salted toffee sauce, sticky toffee puddings, date cake with walnuts, lots of options. But now this one's in my weekly planner. I guess I have to make sticky date this week, right? It would be rude not to. Now, my bread rolls have just come out of the oven, which I'll show you in just a moment. All right, so we've added some recipes in. We're going to head back into our weekly planner. And you can see my weekly planner is pretty loaded because I love using my weekly planner. We're a really busy household, and I find when my weekly meal plan is done, it means we come home from work, school, activities. We know exactly what we're cooking because it is there, and I know I've got it because we've done a shopping list, which I'll show you in a minute. So tonight we've got our marry chicken pasta and our bread rolls. We had a cheeseburger focaccia for dinner. We've got creamy coconut chicken curry, bread rolls and a fruity dream. I'm actually off to a demo tomorrow night. And there's our tikka masala that we added in. So we're going to add that to our shopping list, and our coriander, garlic and no coriander naan to our shopping list. We've got chicken gyros to our shopping list. And you can see I've got jackfruit and bean chili with roti and udon noodles there. We're also having a moussaka bowl, and we added our stir-fry beef bowl. We've got a lemon pepper chicken with zoodles on our meal plan, and then our sticky date there. So then we head on up back to our menu and to our shopping list. And now it has collated down a shopping list for us, and it's done it by aisle as well. So if you are someone that goes to the supermarket, open the app on your phone and your shopping list will be there ready to go. If you are an online shopper like me, I live in Bunyip. I live 15 minutes to the closest Woolies, half an hour round trip. So I like to get mine delivered. I can show you just how easy that is with Cookie Doo in a moment. So go through and mark off everything that you've already got. So I've got bicarb soda, I've got brown sugar, whatever it may be. I've got yeast, raw sugar, white sugar. Obviously, we don't need to buy water. I've got baker's flour. So go through and mark off the things that you've already got in your pantry or your fridge that you don't need to buy, leaving on those things that you do need. So normally you'll have a lot of your herbs and spices. You'll find when you first get a Thermomix, your shopping bill might go up slightly for those first few shops because you'll be buying things that you may never have bought before. But after a couple of weeks, you'll see your grocery bill dramatically decreasing because you've started to stock up on all those pantry basics that you were cooking with. So go through and mark off anything. Down here are your items that you've marked off. And then you can share, you can email, you can print, you can copy. As I said, this is already in your app. My favorite, you can hit order ingredients and you can order directly to Woolies online. So Whisk is the third party that connects Woolies with Cookie Doo. It is only connected to Woolworths at the moment. But here you can see it takes us through to the Whisk page. It gives us our different options. So it has picked options for us. Now I get asked all the time if it picks the most expensive items. It definitely does not. I'm pretty sure it tries to match the size that you need. So sometimes that may not be the most cost effective. So for me, I like to buy the 2 kilo home brand flour. So I would just go down until I find the one that I like. Of course, it's not going to come up today, but just go through and pick the one that you want, the brand that you're most comfortable with. Going on through and making any changes. I think my light's going to go flat. Of course it is. And then you literally click add to cart, and that will add all of your ingredients into your cart. And that is your weekly shop done. There goes my light. I got this new really cool light. Dan, can you grab my other light, please? Got this really great new light that's rechargeable, which is really handy, except for when it goes flat. Can you grab that one for me? Thanks. And then just add to your cart, and then you can do your click and collect or your delivery, and away you go. Add in your extra bits and pieces, your milk, your bread, your fruit, whatever it is that you're buying, and you have your groceries done for your week. So you get home from work, busy day, whatever it may be, day with the kids, you're tired, you turn on your Thermomix, it tells you exactly what you're eating, and you know you've got everything because you've done that meal plan, which is brilliant. If you have any questions about Cookie Doo, please pop them in the chat. I'd love to answer them. Might need to put it around there a bit more. Yeah, thanks. Maybe not like that. All right, so we've got 10 seconds to go here. So our next thing was grab a thermal serving bowl. So our thermo server, again, thank you for anybody who brought some guests along today. Our thermo server is available to you as a host reward. Some of you may have noticed our thermo server has had a glow up. The new thermoservers are beautiful, and they will keep your food at the temperature it goes in at for up to 3 hours instead of 2. These are your Thermomix's best friend. Pop your rice in it while you've got your curry cooking. Put your dessert in it to keep it frozen. Keep your sticky date sauce hot, whatever it is. So we're going with 120 grams of baby spinach. If you don't have a thermo server, chat to your consultant about how we can help you get one, because everybody needs one. So you want to check if your pasta is cooked. Or actually, I reckon that's going to need a minute or two. So we're just going to head back to our recipe. Pasta is always going to be, you want it to be cooked to your likings. So I'm just going to go back, click on my 3 dots and set as current step. And then we're just going to go 2 more minutes. I think that will be plenty. And back on our lid off cooking. So always check it. Make sure that it is al dente. And you can add another minute or 2 if you need. And then we're going to pop it in our thermo server to finish off. So we have our bread rolls. How good do they look, guys? Beautiful. Fresh bread. There is nothing better. The smell, the taste. Look at that. It is so light and fluffy. Absolutely delicious. Bit of butter on that, and that is the perfect side dish for your dinner. The only problem is now it's 9 o'clock and I'm going to be eating hot bread, but that's okay. It'll be worth it. So they are our bread rolls. If you have any questions about the bread, please let me know. And while that finishes, I'm just going to wrap up and then we shall plate up our pasta. So if you have any questions about anything that we discussed tonight or anything that we didn't discuss, please pop it in the comments and I would love to answer that for you. So just to recap, Cookie Doo is a subscription service. It is $89 a year, but when you purchase a TM7, you will get 4 months for free. You get a free 30-day trial and then you get 3 months added onto that as well. So 4 months to try it out and make sure you love it before you have to pay for it. I personally think Cookie Doo is worth every cent. It saves me thousands of dollars a year and hours each week. Keeps us eating different meals. It makes allergies easier, portion sizing, savings, whatever it is, it can really do it all for you. So Cookie Doo, $89 a year, 3 free 4 months as well when you purchase your Thermomix. The cost of our TM7 is $2,649, and it does come with all of those great accessories that you need to get you going on your Thermomix journey. And of course, at the moment, running for just another week, so please don't miss out if you have been considering trading up. Our trade up is on for only 1 more week, and you can save up to $750 off the cost of your TM7 by trading in an old model. So please chat to your consultant about how you can do that. We would love to help you trade up your Thermomix and get yourself a TM7. I'm still confused how I missed the chopping step, but please excuse me. As I said, this is what happens when you talk as much as I do and when you're reading a Thermomix upside down. So normally we would have chopped up our sun-dried tomatoes and capsicum to blend through a little bit more, but instead we've got some big pieces there. Don't worry about myself. I'm just going to pop that lid on for just a minute to let that settle. I'm going to pop our parmesan through. Always want to rest it for a minute or 2 before you serve. We do have lots of different payment options to help you get a Thermomix on your bench if that is what you choose to do. Again, you can join our team and earn yourself one. You can purchase one through interest-free finance, 24 months with Zip Money or Hum, and less than $27 a week, or as we talked about, just a couple of cups of takeaway coffee. If you are wondering if you can actually save money with the Thermomix, we do have a savings calculator. I would love if one of my girls could pop the savings calculator link into the chat for you guys to have a look at. It is worth checking out how much money you could save if you had a Thermomix on your bench. You will be very, very surprised. We honestly save thousands of dollars a year of being able to make delicious food in our Thermomix in a really short amount of time. We live in a small town. We have really limited takeaway options. So being able to make beautiful takeaway meals really helps us as well. If you were to switch from just one takeaway a week to making something, you would already have covered the cost of your Thermomix in less than a year, which is crazy. So our savings calculator is a great way to check out if you really could save money with your Thermomix. So please hit that link that the girls have just put into the chat box. Thank you, Lani. And have a look how much money you could save. As I said, interest-free finance, less than $27 a week. And if you are trading up, it could potentially be less than $20 a week for you. We also have Afterpay and PayPal 4, so another way to break it down into smaller payments, and then, of course, our one-off payment as well. So please chat to your consultant a little bit more about that or reach out, and we would love to help you. We talked about cookie dough. We talked about the cost. We were at a 3-month wait for our TM7s not long ago, but we are down to back to 10-day standard shipping on our TM7, which is amazing. Stock levels have leveled out around the world, which means you can have a TM7 on your bench in about 10 days. If you are trading up, the way it works is you pop your order through at your reduced price, and then you will pack up your old Thermomix, pop it in the post, and once it's with Australia Post, Thermomix will dispatch your new Thermomix. So the quicker you get it in, the quicker you will have yours, but potentially you could still have it in that 10-day turnaround as well. So please pop any questions that you have about that in the chat. We would love to answer them for you. If you are interested in hosting your own cooking experience to get your hands on our cutter or our thermo servers as a host reward, please chat to your consultant or send us a message. We would love to help you out to do that as well. We do in-person and virtual cooking experiences and would love to do that for you. I'm just going to check our chat and make sure there weren't any questions. Does your cookie dough transfer from your TM6 to your TM7? That is a great question. It absolutely does. So you just log in on your TM7 screen. You will get your free 3 months added on to your existing subscription. So if you've already got 9 months left, you will be added up to 12 months and you will just continue using your cookie dough like you were before. All of your old recipes will still be in there and everything, which is great. I have 1 month for free. How do I get 3? So Denise, when you log in on your new Thermomix, there is a QR code that you scan and it will add the 3 months on to your Thermomix, your cookie dough as well. Jess says saving $31 a month. Jess, I think you might have made a bit of a mistake there. We can help you work that out because you should see savings of a couple of $100 a month there. If there's any more questions at all, please pop them into the chat box now. Now that we've rested that for just a moment, pop that into a bowl. Show you our pasta. And then we are all done. So our Marry Me Chicken Pasta can be found on Cookie Dough. This is the TM7 version that uses that brilliant lid off cooking. And that paired with our beautiful fresh bread rolls. Look at that. Now, this one says it serves 4, but it does absolutely make a truckload. This is a 2.7 litre thermo server, and you can see how much is still left in that alongside that bowl that we have served up. So this is my family's dinner for tomorrow night. I'm probably going to stand here and eat some bread rolls though, because they're absolutely beautiful. And I would like to say a huge thank you to everybody who came along tonight. If you have any questions at all, please make sure you have a chat with your consultant or send us a message. We would love to answer that and help you out in any way possible. Thank you, Lani. Lani has just said TM31 saves $250, TM5 trade up $450, and TM6 trade up is $750 off the cost. As I said, potentially up to $18.99 for your TM7. So thank you so much for coming along. I hope you've learned some great tips and tricks tonight. We really appreciate you joining us. Huge thank you to my girls who manned the chat and for everybody for those that invited you along tonight. Happy Thermomixing. We would love to help you get a TM7 on your bench, and we will see you at our next virtual demo or cooking class. Thanks so much, everyone.